We are almost done disassembling the flooded Corvair engine and it's getting prepped for rebuild. Hey everybody, welcome back to Auto Anatomy. I am Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. On the last video, we started the disassembly process of our flooded Corvair engine. We dropped the engine out of the car, put it on the stand, and pulled the passenger side cylinder head off. And so far, everything's looking pretty good. I haven't seen any huge red flags yet. On today's video, we're gonna finish the disassembly process, pull the jugs off the passenger side, take the entirety of the driver's side off, the head, the jugs, pistons, everything out. Pull the transmission, pull the clutch out, see what kind of condition it's in, and then get everything cleaned up and ready to start the rebuild process. Before we do, I just want to again say thank you for all of your support on our channel over the last couple of years. It means so much that I make the kind of videos that you like to watch. So if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. It's an absolutely free way to help support our channel, and I want to say thank you again. So let's dig into the engine again, get the driver's side torn down, see if there's any other surprises, and get this thing ready to get back on the road. Okay, so the head's off, and looking at 2, 4, and 6, number 2 looks pretty good. A little carbon, don't see anything too terrible. Number 4, kind of the same, I don't see any big gouges in any of the bores. Number 6 piston looks like it's been burning oil for a while. So let me rotate the engine over and see if we can look at this bore. So actually, yeah, the bore itself actually looks pretty good. So I think it was just this one, and then one on the other side was burning a decent amount of oil. So we may have yet lucked out again. So far, all of the rod journals look pretty good. Haven't seen anything that's just raised huge red flags yet. No big gouges, and the bearings looked okay. So let's finish breaking this thing down. I need to pull the transmission and the clutch assembly off, and then I want to get the block taped up and just as clean as I can possibly get it, because I don't want to accidentally knock some dirt or something down into the crankcase and then ruin basically a brand new engine. So I've got a lot of cleaning to do. But, all right, let's keep going. I put these in to keep myself from losing them, and now they're causing me problems. Holy cow! Okay, so this is the first time I've ever pulled a Corvair, and it looks like, this is just, looks like this is right. I don't see any clips that are broken or anything, so I don't know. Let me know in the comments if this is normal, because I've never seen anything like this before. All right, moment of truth. Okay, well, clutch has got some wear on it. The disc, you can see here, is right down to the rivets. I'll have to look at the pressure plate and see what kind of condition it's in. And flywheel feels okay. I don't feel anything obvious, but obviously we're gonna have to clean it up here. So let's keep going. I probably should have just stopped at pulling the jugs and that, but I don't know, I just can't help myself. So I've got the engine at a place where I need to clean it up because you can see there's just a bunch of gunk on the block and things. So I went to the hardware store and I found these 4-inch pipe plugs and modified them just a little bit so that I could put them into the bore here. And then you tighten them up, they seal, and it's watertight. And then we've got some just corks and, you know, random things shoved into the valve or into the pushrod tube holes. We'll get the engine all watertight. I'll put the top cover back on it, put the bell housing back on it, and then really just start cleaning it up. And then, you know, we're at a place where we're ready to start reassembly. Let me show you how I modify these pipe plugs in case you have one where, you know, you want to do this yourself. Okay, so this is the little knockout plug as it comes from, I think I got this at, I don't know, Lowe's. And what I want to do is, the bore is like 3 5/8. Don't quote me exactly on that. And this is a 4-inch plug. And I just need to take, like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch off all the edge. It doesn't really matter on the inside piece what amount you take off. And then we're going to notch the outside piece just for the bolts to go through. And I'll hold that up to the bolts once we get this ready. So I'm going to put this inside the bore so that it doesn't get anything on it. So I'm just going to knock off a little bit of this. It's not really that important how much you take off, as long as it's at least, like, you know, 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch around all the edges. Okay, now we're just going to mark this this outer plate, and it doesn't have to be real precise. Again, you know, we're just kind of marking a general place for it, and notch these 4 spots, and then we'll put this one on. With both of these trimmed up, I've got the rubber gasket already in here, and I'm going to take the inside piece, just drop it on the inside of the block here. Okay, now that I've got the inside piece in, we'll slide this in, and then tighten this up, and it will be sealed. I know I can feel like I can actually clean this without worrying about knocking anything into the crankcase. Okay, so before I can really clean the engine, I've got to put the bell housing on, because on the Corvairs, the bell housing is actually the timing cover. So I've got the bell housing all cleaned up, which was like 6 hours to scrub this thing, because it was caked in probably a 1/2 inch of mud and grease and dirt and all that stuff. So I've got a new gasket. We'll get it put on and then torque the bell housing back down, and then we can finally roll the engine outside to start the cleaning. Well, I think the old engine cleaned up pretty good. I mean, there's still a couple of little spots like way down in these crevices that I just can't get to. And, you know, the reality is almost all of this is covered up anyway by the engine tins and then heads and jugs and things. But I did want to get it as clean as I possibly could, and I think it turned out pretty well. One last thing that we need to do on the block is change out, there's a little gasket that goes between this oil cooler adapter and the block, and it was leaking a pretty good bit. So I just need to pull this off, get this cleaned up, and, you know, replace that gasket. And then every gasket in the entire engine will be new. Now, a number of people have posted on our Facebook or Instagram pages, which if you're not already following on that, it's a great place to get previews of upcoming videos, so just a little hint. Anyway, they've asked if we're going to upgrade to a 12-plate oil cooler, and I think the short answer is no, and for a few reasons. One, we don't live in a desert climate here. Two, it hasn't ever really been an issue on this car. I've never seen the car get hot, even when driving it on the interstates for a long time. It's just never been a problem. Three, we're not running air conditioning on the car, so it's not going to put that extra strain on the engine. And four, I don't have one. So I think the money to upgrade to one right now can be better spent in other places that can make the car just more drivable. So for all of those things, I think we're just going to hold off on upgrading to the 12-plate oil cooler. But let's get this piece cleaned up, get the gasket changed out, and then the entire block, I think, will be pretty much ready to start reassembly. So now the next step, wow, I've got like grease all over my forehead. So now the next step is going to be getting the jugs, the cylinder heads all cleaned up. I've got that little exhaust port that's rusted off on the number 5 cylinder that I've got to change out. And then I want to measure out all of the jugs, the taper in all the bores and see if there is a problem there. And then, assuming that everything looks good, we can start reaming that ridge off, rehoning the cylinders, and putting things back together. And that's going to be next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, click on that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.